Happy Wednesday. Actually, it's afternoon. Oh my gosh. Good morning. Did I just say that? Well, it's probably morning somewhere. So good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I've got my coffee. Oh my gosh. I did iced coffee again today. It's hot, but it's so lovely. I'm not complaining. We are not having the heat wave that some of you are having. It's sweltering in your world. And keep yourself hydrated, stay in the shade, all those things, because we want happy tulips. Now, if you're on your phone, let's do our housekeeping. Turn it sideways, you can get a larger picture. If you're on your computer, you can go large screen. If the comments are in your way, if you swipe, it goes in silent mode so that you can just see the demonstration. You want the comments back, swipe. So you know the drill. Two things that I want to address from last week's live. That was a popular one. If you didn't get a chance to see it, you'll want to go back and watch it on replay. The AIFD recap. First one, I showed you that beautiful arrangement from Sola. She has designed the most beautiful arrangements using that great curved style. And I said the flower shop she owns, but she manages this flower shop, not owns. And so she contacted me and corrected, because she said, no, I'm not the owner. I'm the designer, manager. Still does fabulous work, but let's make it be accurate. And then the second correction I have to make, if you remember that beautiful arrangement that was the floral trends design that had the peonies and ranunculus and roses, and it was half or so permanents and half or so fresh flowers. And then I said, and notice that vessel is covered with Post-it notes. It wasn't Post-it notes. Correction, Keith White reached out because he made that arrangement. It was his beautiful work of art. And he had done handcrafted paper, so handmade papers, that he personally cut into those shapes and then adhered on there. So correction number 2. And thank you to Sula and thank you to Keith for reaching out, because we want to make sure that all the tulips know the story. So now we can do a fresh start. Today we are talking the Portland, Oregon Rose Parade and the Portland, Oregon Starlight Parade. And to share in that discussion is one of our own graduates. She had the opportunity to do the decorations for all the cars in both parades. I mean, think about it, that's dozens of vehicles, so all the VIP vehicles, she helped create the designs. And she didn't do it all by herself. There were people that helped, but she was right there, both parades, doing everything. So it's kind of exciting. So our special guest, Kimberly, if you'll come on up with me, joining me in the studio is graduate Kimberly. So 2017,
yes,
you came to flower school. She was from Las Vegas, which there's better places to be, Portland, Oregon. And you were here in the fall?
Mm-hmm. I moved up here in October of 2017.
So you got here in a perfect time of the year, but then
Yes.
we started raining. That would be a different change from Las Vegas.
It was very different, but it was nice.
Okay. And then you worked in a flower shop
Yeah.
for...
4.5 years.
Oh, wow. So, okay, 2017, flower school, relocate, Portland, Oregon. 4 years, it was what, Beaverton Florist?
Yeah.
Okay, which is a very, very busy flower shop. So you are pumping out the arrangements over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that gave you a chance to practice and perfect your skills.
Yeah, well, I've actually been designing for about 14 years now, so it was, definitely some more practice is always good, though.
But 14 years.
Yes.
So you started when you were 7?
No, I started when I was 20.
Okay, so you've grown up with flowers.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So currently then you're working at Frank Adams Wholesale, which is one of our local flower wholesalers here in town that is amazing. They do hard goods, they do plants, they do supplies. We've worked with them as a company ever since I bought the school, and I worked with them as a florist since I was 16 years old. So they've been around for a very long time. You started there in...
December of 2020.
Okay, so you've been there a couple of years now. Cool. And what do you like about wholesale as opposed to retail?
You know, it's really nice to work with all the florists and get to see what they're creating and like their ideas of what's going on in the floral industry. It's really nice.
You know, those of you tulips that are out there thinking, okay, well, what can I do in the industry? Well, Kimberly's here to tell you, retail, wholesale, and parade cars. So let's get started. We got to do some designing. The parade cars, there are so many different ways of doing it, and I know that many of them you used a casket saddle.
We did. They're pretty, I mean, most of the arrangements kind of have the similar shape that you would do for funeral pieces, but you do them a lot lower so that way the driver can see over the car.
Oh, that's a detail.
Yeah, right. They don't need to see. They're in a parade.
That's right. Flowers are the important thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many cars you did?
Ooh, I believe that there were 14 cars and 2 trolleys, the first one, so for the Starlight, and I think there was about the same, except there was an additional 2 trolleys on the last one, and I actually even had to make one in the back of the car because they decided to add one on last minute.
Oh my gosh, have we all been there? Oh shoot, would you happen to have a little bit you could throw together for one more? So that sounds like close to 35 cars.
Just about.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so walk us through. This is your base, and we've got a mess of flowers. Foliage is on the cart down here. So what would be your first step?
Normally start with the greens, get some really nice lines going, kind of fill in so that way you don't have to worry about seeing the foam so much.
So why don't you go ahead and grab, I think there's a salal on the bottom there and some aspidistra. And I know you told me you wanted plumosa, and I thought of that at 4 o'clock. No, I actually thought
That
about
does
it.
happen.
And I was like, oh no.
Grab some of these.
So while she's gathering, this is salal, which is indigenous to here. If you're from other parts of the United States, it's called lemon leaf as a common name. So we've got that. It's a nice inexpensive foliage to get started. While she's gathering, let's do a call out. We have a full house here today. So Kimberly's doing the designing. I'm just hanging out drinking coffee. Then running tech, we have Ricky. So she'll be showing you some pictures as we go along. And you can go ahead and start designing. And then voicing questions from the dark side is Hitomi. She is watching Facebook, YouTube, everything everywhere. And then David is in the studio with us today. And I think you're on Facebook, are you? Okay, so we're kind of across the board. And then virtually we have teacher Carolyn with us, and Susie is on YouTube, and Caledonia is on Facebook. And then you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from. If you are part of the Tulips, go ahead and put your icon in there, your tulip, so that we know. And talk amongst yourselves. Be sure to type in your questions, because you have probably lots of things you'd like to know from Kimberly, and that's why she's here, is to share answers. You can see she's hard at it with some aspidistra and some salal, and she's just poking away covering mechanics at this point, I see. So while we're doing that, anybody have any questions out there? Total silence in the studio. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, if you've got questions, get them typed in there. We need you. You told me, what have you got?
I have a question. How long did it take you to finish all of 35 cars worth of arrangements?
Oh, what a great question. The question was, how long did it take to do 35 cars? Excellent question.
Well, there were 3 of us working on it, so we kind of broke it down. One day, I think we did about 3 to 4 hours of just greening everything, getting it ready, so that way we had a really good start, and then we just came in the next day, and I think it was about the same, kind of like 3 to 5 hours doing all the greens, doing all the flowers, and then, we had the whole setup and everything, which that definitely took a little bit of work.
Not bad. So 3 to 5 hours of just greening, then 3 to 5 hours of designing flowers, and then the installation on top of that. That would be a big deal.
Yeah.
And then repeat that the following weekend, because that's one parade is on Saturday night, and the next parade is on Saturday morning. I think that's the way it goes. Isn't it Saturday and Saturday, or is it Friday and Saturday?
It was Saturday, and then was it Saturday or Sunday for the second one? I feel like it might have
I think it's Saturday and Saturday. or else it's Friday and Saturday, because I know the Grand Floral Parade is a Saturday, because I have gone to that one since about 1981. I've gone to that parade. I never miss it. And one year I went to the parade and then had to race out to go deliver a wedding. So I know it was a Saturday.
Well, that can happen.
That can. Ricky, what have you got there?
Brandy would like to know what mechanics are used to attach the foam to the casket.
So we actually just used some of the Oasis floral adhesive green tape.
The waterproof tape? Okay. So did you ever do floral netting on it, or just the foam and tape it in place?
We just did the tape, and that was pretty much it. For the side pieces that went on the trolleys, of course, we had to use something that had a little bit more security in it, where the foam wasn't going to fall out. So we had the Oasis. Oh goodness, what are they called? Those guys.
The Oasis cages. Okay, gotcha. The easel cages. So for the car hoods, it was a casket saddle with foam taped into place. And then when you place it on the hood, what did you use to secure it directly onto the hood?
Well, we used a fishing line, which was a bit tricky because a lot of cars, I mean, they were all different. Some of them were older cars, some were newer cars, so finding places to attach them was very interesting.
I bet. Yeah, so fishing line to secure in. So interesting. And when you tie fishing line, those of you that are fishermen know that it ties uniquely as well. It's not just tie it together, because it slips and slides. So there's a real talent to using fishing line and getting it on there.
Luckily, I do fish, so I knew a little bit about
I love it.
the lines. So.
You're multi-talented. So I can see you're basically concealing all mechanics, just as though you were doing a funeral casket spray, and preparing a bed
Yes.
to support your flowers. Okay, cool.
And just using these tea leaves and just bending them over and poking them back through, so that way you can have a nice, easy little loop there.
Ooh,
something
do
like
another
that.
one so they can see that. That was,
Yeah.
so she takes her aspidistra and she gives it a cut.
Gotta get a nice sharp angle and then just pop it right through.
Okay.
It gives you a nice.
So a little foliage manipulation, which almost makes it a bow effect.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's definitely fun, and you can upgrade your arrangements just with a simple trick like that.
Cool. So what flowers are we going to use in this? This is going to be too
Well,
fun.
no, we do have some lovely orchids, and we have the roses. We definitely have the calcinia, which is a very nice little additive.
So I'll start handing things over to you.
Right.
The calcinia is so pretty. That was one of the first things I grabbed today, because I loved the extension and the color. I thought, oh, that'll be pretty in there. Okay, so there's some calcinia.
Well, Leanne, you need to know you've got quite a crowd from everywhere. We haven't asked where people are from, but we have Australia, several, and we have South Africa, and all over the United States, and Alaska. It's a big crowd.
How grand. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you happen to be a first timer, let us know. And then all of you that join us for the Tulip collaboration, reach out to the first timers. Make them feel welcome. If you know somebody that should be here with us, tag them. Send this out, share it, spread the word. Let them see Kimberly as she goes along. If you're thinking about flower school, this is your chance to ask a real live graduate a question, because she came to flower school expanding upon the skills she already had. She had been a florist for years already in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then came and joined us for advanced studies to just expand her skill set, update, recharge, re-energize, and then relocated to Portland, Oregon, where floral is just blossoming, as we like to say, and continued kickstarting her career. Now, I know I had stalked you a little bit on your Facebook page, and you had mentioned that two of your goals were to work on a float and then to work on parade cars. And
Yes.
I understand you did both.
I mean, I did the cars, but maybe one day I'll still get to work on an actual float. That would be amazing.
Oh, we have so many. You want to put that on that side for you so you can reach a little better? There you go. We work with the float building quite a bit, and so next year, if you are interested, you just let
I'm
us
very
know because we've
interested.
got some ins on that. He told me.
Yes, Diane on Facebook, she's asking, were you told the colors of the cars in advance? And did you coordinate the flowers with the car color?
Oh, that's a great question. So Diane on Facebook wants to know if you knew what the car colors were in coordination. Was that even an option?
We did get a list beforehand, so we could kind of gauge what we were getting handed to us.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really nice, but a couple of the cars ended up changing, so we had to just kind of work on our feet and swap things up. There was a couple of cancellations as well, so we actually ended up having extra arrangements at the Starlight Parade that we handed out to some of the floats, so they were really happy about it.
Oh, I love it. Well, the Starlight this year was cold and wet and rainy.
Yes,
it
it
was
was.
a fairly miserable parade. So I would imagine cancellations were coming in as people were like, I don't want to be cold and wet and rainy. I say parade wimp. They should have been there, but
It was still a good time. They should have been there.
that's right. Parades are always a good time. What else do you want? Pink or purple?
Both.
Okay.
We'll go with both. Thank you.
And so that you guys who are always asking, the lavender is Ocean Song, and the pink is Novia. I had to double
Yes.
check what you told me on that one. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh my
It
God.
is the Novia.
You got it, okay. And they were both such nice big heads that I thought those will be perfect for work. Now, did you find as you were prepping and getting things ready that older flowers were actually better because they were more open, or did it need to be newer flowers so that they were stronger, or did it make any difference?
With certain flowers, you did want to make sure that they were really nice and fresh. Luckily, since we work at Frank Adams, they generously donated quite a lot of the product and flowers to us, so that way we could just use what was left over at the end of the week and make good use of it.
Oh, wow. What a
Yeah.
great thing for the city to donate like that. That's grand.
Yeah. Frank Adams is a very good company.
This is looking beautiful. Ricky, what's up?
Sarah on YouTube is wondering if you had to worry about any of the flowers falling off or getting damaged as the cars were moving.
Excellent question. So Sarah on YouTube, thinking practical, what about falling off and getting damaged as the car is driving down the street?
Yes, that actually brings me to a memory of the golf carts that we had to do. I forgot that there were some golf carts, and one of the golf carts was just sitting on the top. We didn't really have time because it was an add-on. Didn't have time to attach it, and they were just like going. We're just like, I hope it doesn't fall off.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely, it's very nerve-wracking.
Oh, that would be nerve-wracking. That's when you want to run out with your U-glue and clamp it down.
Exactly. Or just, tell them to drive slowly.
Very slowly. And brake slowly.
Yes. I mean, you're only going 5 miles an hour, so we hope that we don't have any problems, but it is always a concern.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. So now as you're working, I'm going to take this just a second and kind of lift it up so everybody can see it from different angles. So you can see how she's draping it down the front, and then the sides are a little narrower. So where with a casket spray you might go wider, she's actually gone longer and narrow so that it fits on the hood of a car. And then filling it in mostly to the front. The back is a little more naked so that you're not wasting visual material where the person isn't going to see it on the street. Now, one thing that I found when David and I had gone down to the Pasadena Rose Parade is that the cars and the floats and all of the decor is made almost one-sided for the camera side for the TV stations. So did they have anything worried about that, or did they keep it both-sided because they knew crowds would see it from both sides?
We were stipulations on it. It was kind of just, here's some pictures of the previous years, work your magic. But yeah, we did keep it pretty all around. We still did kind of fill in at the top too. We wanted the drivers to have a nice view also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to look
Pretty,
good.
yes.
Well, and the reality is when you do the Portland Rose Parade, guests are on both sides the whole way. So if you just go to the camera side for TV, you're doing a disservice for the others. So I'm glad to hear that. And then people are looking at the car as it's coming down the street. They see it. If they really love it, they turn and they look at it from this way. So they're going to see both sides of it to a bit of an extent. So if you told me what's up in your world.
Lisa on Facebook asking, is it easier to do a car floral vertical as opposed to horizontal?
Well, with the casket sprays themselves, they do have a little bit of a dip, so it actually sits on the hood very nicely, as opposed to having it sideways, where it might wobble or kind of move.
So that was a good question that you may not have been able to hear. She's working with the casket saddle lengthwise instead of crosswise, and she's saying that it works over the hump of the hood perfectly that way, so it doesn't shift or wobble. So unlike a casket where you're doing it crosswise because you want it to fit the casket curvature, this fits the hood curvature. So excellent.
It's a very good question.
So did you find when you were working, in flower school we teach, make sure you have line flowers, make sure you have mass flowers, make sure you have filler flowers. Did you use line, mass, form, filler, all of it, or did you find one thing was more important than another, or did it vary?
Well, with something especially being visualized from so far away, I think that we used a lot more of the mass flowers in there, the hydrangeas. We had lots of the big open lilies, things like that were definitely more easily seen from afar. So,
which makes sense. The other thing that is interesting to me, now it wouldn't work in all situations, but in this particular situation, we have it basically green and pink with a bit of purple, but it's going to that red family tints, and then green, which would be complementary on the color wheel. So when you do that complementary, the green actually makes the other colors pop out bolder. So I bet from a distance it actually shows better too.
yes,
So cool.
definitely made for some beautiful, speaking of green, we'll throw some of these green
The
trick
green
in there.
trick in there
They're
will be
always so fun.
gorgeous. Yeah.
I think I got an empty space up here.
Yeah, Ricky.
Heidi on YouTube is wondering if the heat from the cars was a concern while you were designing.
Okay, heat from the cars. What do you think?
Most of the cars were a lot newer, but there were a few of the older cars that we were a little bit concerned. But since it was a pretty short event, we didn't have to be too concerned about it. Figured that they would be fine for an hour. But it definitely was a little bit of a concern. I think we had a Roadster that was pretty old.
And that would get hot.
Yeah, it definitely did get hot, but it was a beautiful car.
So did you see the flowers after the parade?
No, we didn't.
Because I always
actually see
wonder,
them.
if they look different after.
Yes, I know.
But it's not like a horse. Teacher Michelle always does the flowers for the horses. They're up and down and up and down, and so they look totally different after, unless you know what you're doing. The cars hopefully are a little smoother than that.
Yeah, I did see those bouncing horse arrangements, and it was making me nervous.
I bet. Oh my gosh. So any more questions for Kimberly on this? Because we've got a couple of more things that we want to share with you, but want to make sure we get things answered. While you're doing last bits on this one, go ahead. David, you've got a question.
Well, there is a question here, and it's a good one. Curious, were the car's owners concerned about whether you were going to damage their cars?
Ooh, that's a great question. Were the car owners concerned about what you did to my car? How was that?
There was a couple that were a little bit more concerned than others. One of the cars had actually pre-attached little sticky things to the car with little hooks, so that way we could wrap the fishing wire around. It was like, this is very nice.
So
of you.
they had been using this
Yes.
before. They knew what needed. Oh, interesting.
But we did make sure to use the casket saddles that have the cushion already on there, so we were feeling pretty good about not damaging the cars. So
Which that makes sense, because when you have cars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm sure as many of these cars are, $50,000 cars plus, and you scratch it, you probably would not be invited back to do too much work on a parade again. So,
No.
good question. Any other questions, Hitomi or Ricky, as we're going?
Not seen any.
Okay, so if you are interested in being involved with the parades, here in Portland, Oregon, the parade is always the first full week, that Saturday of June. It starts usually around Memorial Day and then goes for almost a month, into June. I guess it's about 3 weeks total. So if you are interested next year, reach out, make it a field trip, come to Portland and be part of the parade. It's really fun. Here at Floral Design Institute, we've always done the flowers for the princesses. And so all the queen bouquet coronation, the princess bouquets, corsages, I mean, it's just a ton of work and a ton of fun. And this year, 2 graduates helped me, and the 3 of us did a great job, and it was just a blast. And then when they reached out saying we need somebody to do the cars, here we have the perfect person for cars. And I know next year there will be help needed in floats, probably cars, probably princesses. So if you are interested, do reach out because we can help you get started. If you are wondering how in the heck you do this, these are the things we teach in basic floral design. How to use a casket saddle, how to get this done. So it's the same things we teach in flower school, it's just on a different medium. So while she's finishing, I'm going to have you guys type in any questions. Let us know, what do you think of this one? Do you like it? If you do, give us some hearts, a thumbs up, show Kimberly some love, because I know she'll be going back through the feed to see your comments after she's done. So let's give her a little bit of love on this one. And then we're going to reset so we can show you another arrangement. So Ricky, if you want to show, I think you've got 3 car pictures that you can share. These are designs that Kimberly and her team did this year for cars at the Portland Rose Parade. And while you're doing that, we'll move this one out and switch out to the next. So I'll take this over here, and then if you want to grab yourself one of those cages, and Ricky's going to be flipping through pictures. What do we have? What are we looking at?
We are looking at gay beards with a Chevy Impala, about 1956.
At 56, I think it's yellow, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so the gay beards are local dignitaries, and they were the grand marshals for the Starlight Parade, I believe, maybe?
It was the Starlight, yeah.
They were in the Starlight. And then what else do we have? So we had the gay beards, and then...
We have the red and blue cars side by side.
Oh, this was when they were working in the garage and getting them installed. And so you can see the cars kind of lined up there. And I think she cropped it down to where you see the 2 of them, but literally there was half a dozen cars lined up that they were getting all installed in there. And what's the 3rd picture?
We have the blue car, the old style.
Oh, that was the old vintage vehicle. So you can see the diversity from the gay beards with the rainbow across the front, and then the vintage with the spray more like what she did. Go ahead and bring the camera back to us, and we're going to talk about doing the trolleys. The trolleys are like tourist sightseeing trolleys that they have here in the city, and they used them to take groups of dignitaries and hung flowers on them. And so for that, you use the easel
use
cage.
These, which have the little holes that you could easily just zip tie. So we just made them and zip tied them right on.
So you did zip tie. I wondered
Yes.
how that went. Okay.
Yes.
So then what's your first step with those?
Pretty much the same. Start with your greens, kind of get a nice good base, and then that way you can fill in with all the flowers. that
So
have.
you grab greens, we'll get that going. I'll get this out of the way so that you've got room to work again. And then as you have questions, get them typed in. We've got about 30 minutes to share parade flower information, but I don't know what questions you have.
Jim Doyle said that blue car is almost as old as he is.
Oh, I love it. Hi, Jim. Glad you could join us live today. I know you're busy oftentimes, and can catch us on replay, it's nice to have you here live today. So excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, that blue car was definitely one of my favorites. I have a soft spot for old cars, and that was so
That
fun.
was fun to do. Oh my gosh.
So on this one, because we didn't have to worry so much about the shape, we kind of just do whatever, and we sort of just made nice little balls of the flowers. So
Okay.
nothing too strategic, but
But basically designing the same way you would an easel spray. So same as we taught in Basic Floral Design 101, so the easel spray. And you would do the same thing for oftentimes on a newel post at a wedding, or if you're doing an arbor where you just want a part of the flowers covered. So exact same technique, whether it's for a vehicle or for a wedding or for sympathy. Once you have your baseline skills as a floral designer, you can kind of write your own book about what you want to do and how you want to do it. Next week we'll be talking about the creative entrepreneur on live, and that's one of the things that I'll be chatting about is you get to choose. And that's the beauty of our floral world right now is you all get to choose what you want to do and how you want to design. And so like Kimberly says, I want to be part of the parade, and then ends up being a big part of the parade. And I know the Rose Festival management group sent me a note. It's like, who did all this? Those cars were fabulous. And so I'm like, well, one of our graduates. I was pretty proud. Proud mama there. But it's exciting, very exciting.
Kimberly?
Yes.
I think you should request the opportunity to ride in the car of your choice, stating that it needs an onboard florist.
I've got my wave down already.
I
We're
love
good.
it, the Princess Wave. Oh my gosh. And you could have the automobile florist crown. It should be a really big crown. Oh my
I
gosh.
need this.
Oh, could I be your princess? I want one too.
can
Oh,
all
practice.
have
Elbow,
crowns.
elbow, wrist, wrist, wrist. Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, wrist. Oh, I am a parade slut. I will be the first to admit it. But, geez, I am so jealous. If you get to ride in the parade, I get to ride in the parade.
We need to talk to somebody. Who do we talk to?
We have got to make connections. Okay, so if you have connections, we're ready. We'll practice our waves, get us on, yeah. But I don't want to ride a horse. That
I
I
would.
couldn't. Oh, I've only ridden a horse once in my life, and it was painful to say the least. But I did survive. I'm here to tell the story, but oh my gosh. No, I'd rather ride in the car.
Probably
But I
so.
want the crown. I gotta have a crown. We all need crowns. Although Carl sent us a crown, so I do have a tiara, a tulip tiara, what to say the least. So thank you, Carl. I could wear my tulip tiara and wave through the parade route. That would be perfect. So now you've got eucalyptus and
bit of huck.
huckleberry and salal.
Yeah.
And I know you had mentioned plumosa, and I didn't get it, but what other greens did you find to be best to work with?
I mean, the plumosa was definitely, I think, our go-to just because of how much space it covered without very little, but it is very thorny, so wear gloves or just be prepared to have a lot of thorns in your fingers. Another thing was like the emerald leaves or the teepee foliage. That way you have nice big leaves at the front.
So yeah, the different palms would drape beautifully. I hadn't even thought about that. That's
Yes.
a good choice.
Yeah, we definitely used quite a few of those. Aspidistra, ruscus, which we've got some over there. I think that was kind of about it. The little bit of salal.
Okay.
We were lucky again to be able to really jam pack them with some nice.
Isn't that great?
flowers. Yes.
I know. Anybody can do beauty when you've got lots to choose from.
Yes. Which
So
we
what
have lots.
flowers do you want to work with for this one?
Well, maybe we should change it up a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe we can use some of the larkspur.
Okay, I'll hold these aside so you can reach in there and grab it. There we go. I know when we were pulling all the flowers together, it was like, oh my gosh, we've got flowers everywhere. But when you're doing a parade, you need a lot of flowers.
I lost my knife.
Uh-oh.
That's kind of a hazard in the work, is losing your knife all the time.
Definitely.
Or
Yeah.
new knives.
New knives.
New knives are very scary.
Actually, I had a new knife the other day and my thumb is still recovering. I didn't really cut, but it's got lots of little slits in it. But I just had my knife, actually it's not a new knife, it's my favorite knife. I just had sharpened again, and it's amazing how you realize, oh, I've been cutting very poorly with a dull knife. A sharp knife is always better, but. Ooh.
It is important. Those flowers need a really nice, good, fresh cut.
So while she is getting her lines in with the larkspur, any other questions out there? Ricky, what have you got?
Yeah, Anna Maria would like to know if there's any flowers that you would not use on a car arrangement due to how delicate they might be.
Ooh, good question. So any flowers you wouldn't use?
So Queen Anne's lace is not something that will work in foam. That's one of them. There are a few other ones. Sweet peas might be a little bit delicate. Some of
But
those
you're
like
right.
softer ones.
The softer, and probably anything too little that it wouldn't even really show.
Yes.
Probably wouldn't use Lily of the Valley.
No, but we would have loved to.
Oh, wouldn't we all? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, and Ricky, you've got another.
Yeah, this isn't a question, but we have Amelia joining us for the first time today, and she just retired after 24 years of teaching at Notre Dame High School.
Welcome, Amelia. I'm glad you found us. And Tulips out there, give her a shout out, make her feel welcome. First timers, it's kind of scary when all of a sudden everybody seems to know each other and they're like, oh, do I belong here? And yes, you do belong here. We all belong here together. The Tulip collaboration is a welcoming, fabulous opportunity to get support from your peers and to connect, ask questions, get to know each other. It's so much fun, and then you never know who you're going to meet in the real world. We just had the Tulip meetup in Las Vegas, and it was so fun to see so many people that I only know from their little icon and little name picture, and it's like, oh yay, I get to meet you in real life. And hopefully in all your travels, as you're out and about, you can reach out to fellow Tulips and touch base and get to know them in real life. And I know several of you have started freelancing with each other to where somebody has a huge event and the other Tulips come in, or vice versa, and it's nice to know somebody's got your back. Or you've got a question and you post it out onto the Facebook group for Tulip people, and Tulips are quick to give you advice and help and guidance, and that makes my heart sing, because Tulips helping Tulips is just the perfect thing. So now back to the calcinias, some carnations, looks like a little bit of hydrangea. Yeah.
Maybe add in a couple of roses. I'm thinking those purple
Ooh,
roses
the
would
purple
be
might be lovely.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
That ocean song is a great color, and they open and hold so well.
And they also smell very lovely.
Oh, do they? I didn't. Oh my gosh, they do have great fragrance. You learn something every day. Sometimes you work with flowers all the time, you forget to stop and smell the roses. Just, we're supposed to do that.
We
But
need a daily reminder to do that.
that's right. Although I had one employee one time, I'll have to tell a silly story. I hired one person and they were basically prepping flowers for class, and that was their job, was just to prep things. And every single blossom they had to meditate on. It didn't go well. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't going to happen. Class would be over before they ever got anything prepped. It was like, oh, honey, maybe you can meditate after the flowers are prepared. They got to get in water. But that made me
probably
laugh.
thirsty.
And so, yes, you need to stop and smell the roses, but do it quickly.
Multitasking, which is a huge thing if you want to be a florist, because you need to know how to multitask.
Isn't it true? And you've got to be able to talk and design at the same time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love it when I work with somebody that can talk and design. I hate it when I work with somebody that stops and just talks. I'm like, well, you keep poking, keep poking. Yeah, you got to talk and work.
Yes, especially when you've got line of orders getting ready out the door, and got customers coming in, and you still got stuff to make. You gotta keep going, and you know.
So now you've worked in a flower shop, so you know how to get the orders out.
Yes.
Working in a wholesale, how early do you start in the morning?
Whew. Well, Mondays is the real winner there. We usually start about 3 a.m. Yes.
Whoa, 3 a.m. That's
Yes.
early. And I'm even a morning person, but that's really early.
It is very early, but I've gotten used to it, and it's always nice getting off super early. Get to
There
enjoy
is
the
a
rest of the
benefit.
day.
Yeah. I'd have to go take a nap.
Sometimes I do.
And then you're closed on Sunday, so do you ever
And
have to work
Saturday.
Sunday? And you're closed Saturday too?
Yes. Normally they will be open Saturdays sometimes for our holiday sales during, like, I think October to December. They're open on
Okay.
Saturday for just a couple of hours.
But pretty much not, okay.
Yes, I got the good end of the deal.
Yeah, I've always thought wholesale would be a good job in that you do get that morning time so that you've got your whole afternoon for you, and then you work some weekends but not all, and so if you wanted to do your own thing on weekends, you can. And then I always tell graduates wholesale is a great starter job in that you can get involved in the wholesale side, learn all your flowers because you're touching them all the time, and then you see which florists buy the cool stuff and which florists are nice and which florists are kind of grumpy, and so then you can determine what type of a store might you want to work in if you decided wholesale wasn't the permanent job for you. And so it just kind of goes both ways. And I know we've actually got several graduates at Frank Adams. You're there, and then Christy is in the supply department. She's a
yes.
graduate from years ago, and then Robin is a graduate. She is the flower buyer for you
did
all.
not know that.
Yeah, she graduated back, oh my gosh, it would have been early 90s, I believe. And she worked for me for a brief time in my flower shop, and then went to work managing a flower shop in a mass market, and then went to work at the wholesalers and ended up being a flower buyer, and does a great job with that. And
Yes.
it has been the perfect job for her. She's just brilliant.
Well, we definitely love having her. That is not the job that I would want. It's a lot of work.
It's very stressful.
Yes.
And a lot of it is relationship building so that the farms
Mhm.
sell you things when they might not have as much as they need.
Yes.
And so if you have a great relationship, it makes it helpful. Okay, so now I'm going to lift this up so they can see. So this, when I turn it around, and there's going to be water that drips, so be aware. So there's the easel cage on the back, so you can see it's just plain. Then the front, done very full, almost like a cameo, just a nice oval form. So very much like an easel spray, just a little bit smaller scale. And then it will quit dripping as the flowers drink the water. So what, maybe 2 hours of drip, do you think, or an hour?
Well, since we had made them the night before, we didn't really have to deal with that drip, but we did have to make sure to water them pretty good. But I would probably say about an hour.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, it is going to drip. There's no way around that. Did you have any recipe at all, or was it just use up the flowers?
It was pretty much use up the flowers. Again, with having the cars colors, we did know, oh, okay, well, we can try this. We did try to make a couple of pieces specific for cars, but then once we saw the cars, and it was just like, that arrangement's actually going to look a lot better on that car, so.
So you swapped them out depending
Yes.
on what was appropriate.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of flexibility we had, so that was really nice. You know, kind of just got to go with what you're given and hope it works out.
Well, and I see in this one you use the chrysanthemums too, which cover a lot of space
Yes.
very quickly, and they're a sturdy flower, which makes it nice. So, any more questions? We've got just about 15 minutes, and I know she's got one more design that she wants to share with you, so make sure you get him typed in. He told me you've got something.
Joe on Facebook, what are the purple flowers?
Cheryl on Facebook. Oh, that is a cool one, because
Yes.
and there's another variety
This one.
of it, and there's that one.
That's a big stem.
Oh, there, yeah, whoa.
That's a
Very big. So you may recognize Montecasino, the variety of the mini aster. Then these are two other varieties of that mini aster, and I don't know the name. Do you have any idea?
I don't. I mean, I would just consider them that same family. So
It
they would
is the
just be-
same family, yeah. And Novi Belgi is the one that looks kind of like this daisy-like that's lavender. But these have that really cushiony, and I purposely bought them today because I thought they were so cool. They were new to me, and they look almost like little baby button
I was
chrysanthemums.
about to say that.
But they're not. They definitely are in that mini aster family, and such a beautiful color. So good question. David, you had a question.
Same question.
Aha,
Although
okay.
there is a statement that I will say, one, I forget who it was, who waded into the discussion and said, always be nice to your wholesalers, never be grumpy. You need your wholesalers.
That you do.
So true. And you know, when I had my flower shop, my big thing is I was always taking my wholesaler, who it was Jeff at Frank Adams, who is now retired, but I was always taking him cookies, because if he was happy, I was happy. And so I was always taking him cookies. And then those of you that know me know I don't cook. And one time only, I thought, I am going to bake cookies, because I always bought the cookies, but I thought, I am going to bake cookies. I can do this. And I actually made brownies, and I fell asleep and woke up when the smoke alarm went off. And so instead of taking him brownies, I took him briquettes. But even the briquettes got me points, because he couldn't believe I was bold enough to still bring in briquettes. But yes, be nice to your wholesalers, because they can make you or break you. So I know we need to reset. So Ricky, if you've got the picture of the trolley, let's put that up, and we'll clear this off, just kind of scooch it into the garbage can there beside you. And so now this picture that you're looking at is the trolley that she hung the flowers with zip tying them directly on, which is pretty cool. And there were 2 trolleys in the Starlight and 4.
I think it was 3 in the second parade, and then we did have some golf carts as well.
Oh, and those use the same spray type?
Yes.
Okay, so excellent. Okay.
So Diane wants to know, did you put flowers on all sides of the trolley or just one side?
All sides of the trolleys and the front and back as well. So those
We
were,
had flowers everywhere.
So
Oh.
each trolley had 4 pieces each. So
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring it back to us. And we thought, we gotta have a little bit of fun with this. And I couldn't bring in a whole car for you, so I brought in a car for you. And some of you follow me on Facebook, and you probably saw that I was asking if any of my friends had one of those cars that kids ride in. And nobody did. And I had actually started, Ricky and I were talking last week, I said, oh, we need a car hood that we can put in the studio, and I could put things on this car hood. And I went home, and David's like, you know, that kind of is out of proportion and scale for your studio. That was a fairly stupid idea. And I thought, yeah, you're right. So then I thought, oh, I need one of those cars that kids ride in. And none of my friends had kids that had a car that rides in here in Portland. So I thought, well, I'll just go buy one. Oh my gosh, hundreds of dollars to buy those. And they wouldn't fit on the table either. It was still the wrong size. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I ran off to Target to see what I could find.
it's pretty cute.
Perfect scale, don't you think? And I thought this was a perfect way to show what you did. So on the back, when she did flowers, notice how easy it is to add it to my studio decor. But basically you would do this ahead of time. Now you used a casket saddle.
Yes.
I used a Grande Igloo, and that worked out pretty perfect. But you do your casket saddle, you set it on, and then you secured it with fishing line.
Fishing line, zip ties. I think that was about it.
And you found it wasn't necessary to use any of the matting because your things all had the feet on it already.
Yes, they did. You know, it might be good to use that as an extra precaution. With the rain, it kind of made it a little bit less slippery as well. So
Oh, I
that
bet,
was nice.
because that would just go Oh, and that probably helped with the heat from the cars
A
too.
little bit, you would think, but it didn't melt on any of them.
Oh, wouldn't that be, oh my gosh, no, we don't want things to melt on.
No.
So you would make these off-site and then load them into your vehicle, drive over, and you did the installation for the Starlight just on the street, didn't you?
Yes, we were just right there. People were all around. We're like trying to get these carts, and people are just in our way. And we're like, "Ooh, we got all these flowers. We're going somewhere special."
Oh, so you're just pushing a cart down the street?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? But we've all been there. You know, it's like a wedding installation, and you're like, I gotta get through, I gotta do this. So then the Rose Parade, that one, I think you had a garage to work in, didn't you?
It was like a side parking garage, so that was nice. And it was really nice that all the cars were together and we weren't having to go chase around all these cars. That was very helpful.
Oh, that would be. And then, because I remember when I got to the parade, because parade slut, I got there and I saw the Frank Adams van parked over there.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, they're at work already.
Yeah, we got there really nice and early. We even got to stay, well, it wasn't by choice, but we did get to stay and watch the parade.
Oh, yeah, because you couldn't leave.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. So what time did you start?
Oh, I think we had to be there by 7 on the Rose Parade, and then the other one was at night, but we still had to be there about 2 hours before the event started, so that way we could get the cars. And some of them came in late, and so you're just kind of waiting.
And trying to get all that installation done.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can just visualize the nightmare that could be. Oh my gosh.
You know, it's a bit nerve-wracking, but everything did end up working out very well, and all the cars looked beautiful. We got a lot of compliments on them, so that was
Oh,
nice.
I bet
Made
you
us feel good.
did. Oh my gosh. So of course, our car has to have flowers on the front too. So this one, I used the smaller igloo, so you can see how that one did. And that would have been your casket saddle again. So many of the vehicles, like the trolleys, you did front and back.
Yes, which they ended up being a little bit trickier than we thought, because they did have some grids that we were able to get the zip tie, but somebody's got to get on the floor and somebody's got to hold it, and it's definitely a lot of messing around trying to figure out what's the best way to gonna attach everything.
And so there were 3 of you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And to think about that, you know, basically 15 vehicles, 3 people, and you've got 2 hours, and you've got to get this all installed, and then you've got the car owners who are testy, and you have the dignitaries that are trying to get in and around, and then you have the parade goers that are in the way.
You always gotta be on your toes and be prepared kind of for anything.
Oh my gosh. So other questions out there?
Sandy would like to know if the car owners got to keep the arrangements at the end of the parade.
Okay, yes, they did get to keep them, and they could take them home or give them away.
That's kind of like any event. It's like, I don't want this back. Take it. It's yours now. You touched it last, because it's like, don't make me. Although by the time they're driving home, they're driving faster, and so they
I
might not.
hope that they took them off before they got on the freeway.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. So then, of course, on the trolleys, you did the flowers up on top, so we have to go ahead and add those too.
I like your mechanics.
I know. I was like, oh my, I was having a lot of fun getting ready for this live today. So I just used a wristlet band on this one to do the hanging piece, because my trolley is a little smaller than your trolley. But now we can just stand in here and wave at our fans so that we go there. So then, this is your first time of any sort of parade work?
Parade work, yes. I've done a lot of other installations and got quite a bit of experience being from Vegas, getting in and out of those casinos with all those big events and stuff. So I kind of knew what I was getting into.
That's true, because that would be just a challenge, just to get into a casino to the right spot.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So last minute questions for her, because we're almost down to our hour. Make sure you've got questions. Mr. Kessler, what have you
Can
got?
Barbie drive that?
But you know, I meant to bring Barbie in with me and I forgot Barbie. Barbie's in the office and Barbie should be here. She's actually heartbroken because she was planning to sit here and wave and wear her princess crown and Barbie forgot. Oh my gosh. I am a bad mother. So yeah, Barbie should be here. Any questions, Ricky? He told me things that came up.
I actually also have one of those Barbies. It was given to me by another graduate, actually, Cindy Kwam.
Oh yes, oh my gosh. Tulips hang out together.
They do.
So you have a flower shop Barbie. I love it.
I love it.
Oh my God. We have to have a flower shop Barbie reunion one of these days because there are so many. So then I do have another question for you. You did it twice, 2 different parades, one in the rain.
Yes.
One that was not in the rain, so that was a little bit better,
And
but
we
it
were in
was
a garage,
iffy.
so.
And you were in a garage. Too bad you didn't have the garage on a rainy
I
day.
know.
But no. Would you do it again?
I am actually very much hoping that they're going to ask us to do it again next year. It was a really great experience, and I am looking forward to it again.
So then, advice to the experienced self, what would you do differently?
I think, it was so successful. It's almost hard to say what you would do too different, but maybe being a little bit more organized with the communication with the people that were there and having them kind of have their cars more ready would be a little bit nicer. Or a finalized list maybe the day of or the day before, because like I said, there was a couple cancellations and like cars got changed and it was like, oh, okay.
And having to punt at the last minute, yeah. And I know you had one car thrown at you that just, okay, we need one more.
Yes.
So did you have a saddle with you?
Well, we actually only had one of the cages, the grande cages, and we did, of course, bring a couple of buckets of extra flowers with us. So we were able to whip it up. I think I whipped it up in about 10 minutes. I did cut myself with a brand new knife, of course. So those flowers have a little bit of blood on them.
Oh my gosh. So, Ricky.
Brandy wants to know what was your favorite memory of doing this for the parades?
Goodness. I think it was just the camaraderie with the group of people that we had and how well it was like working together and just very chill, just making arrangements, getting to, and then doing the setup. It was really fun hanging out behind the scenes at the parades. That was really cool.
That's my favorite part, is to be there before the parade actually begins.
Yeah.
And to walk along the float line and get to see them and then to watch the people coming and it
was a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah, and then just knowing that you are part of it, it really just kind of does something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I love flowers.
So I know, Ricky, you've got a couple more pictures, I believe. Let's show those so that everybody can see.
This is the golf cart arrangement.
So how many golf carts did you do?
I think it was two on one day, and then they ended up on the first parade, they just had an extra golf cart and we had extra arrangement, so they just popped it up on top.
I love it. Okay. And what else have you got?
And then we have the big Ford truck that looks like 2 men are installing.
Oh yes, yeah, that was a fun one. Like I'm very short, so I was not able to reach that. Luckily, we had the men there to help us out.
Oh my gosh, so it was just a big old truck.
It was huge. They were like climbing on the tire. It was like, whoa.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, any others or is that it?
And then lastly, we just have the big pink arrangement on a gray car.
Okay. I'm trying to remember which car that actually was, but that arrangement was actually done by Brandy, and that one was very beautiful.
Grand. Okay, bring it back to us. So now you know the story, how the cars were decorated. You got to hear a little bit about Kimberly's history, how she ended up at flower school, ending up in Portland, Oregon, and ending up decorating parade cars. And hopefully she'll be doing it again next year because she did a great job. So my guess is, yes, she'll be doing it next year. I think you can be pretty sure. If you are interested in flower school, come join us. We go back in session in person in September, and online is actually enrolling right now because a lot of people do online in the summer months so that they're certified and ready to go, working for the busy autumn holidays. And now with our economy and the world the way it is, sometimes that little extra money at the holidays can be a huge advantage. If you want to work on the parade, you'll learn the techniques you need in basic floral design, and then come join us next June because it is a ton of fun. I can vouch for that, and I'm sure you have parades in your own community that maybe you need to be the flowering wizard, helping out bringing flowers to the masses in your own community. So Kimberly, thank you for joining us. I know you were up bright and early this morning and had to get up and get over here, and then it's like, Thank you, Hitomi, for coming in and helping us out, Ricky for making us stay live, David for helping out, Teacher Carolyn, Susie, Caledonia. We couldn't do it without you, so thanks so much. And for each of you that joined us today, thank you. I appreciate you spending time with us and sharing an hour with the Tulips. Next week, we'll be talking the creative entrepreneur, but for now, get out there and do something you love. Bye for now.